we're talking about 105 more ways a buyer's agent is worth every penny of compensation. And guess what? It happened last night. I had not my first, but and likely my very first real he wasn't paying the buyer's agent conversation. Gentleman needs to sell his house. He came into me through a program, referral into me, and he is just adamant. He is not going to pay a buyer's agent's compensation. Can't afford it, won't do it, wants the buyer's agent to pay, wants the buyer to pay the compensation for their buyer's agent. That is what we are now in, is the real new world of real estate, right? I mean, the truth is it's always been that option. Always been. As the market got really competitive, buyers would eliminate commissions and reduce commissions in order to get their offers accepted. Well, now the government just did that for everyone. Now the government's saying, buyer, you can pay your compensation to your agent, or seller, you can pay the compensation to the agent. It is just a general, one has to be done and the other has to be done. And yes, you've got to sign a contract. You have to sign a contract. The type of contract you sign depends on who you're working with and what you're doing, right? That's just the reality of it. So we're going to move on to why would I want to hire an agent? What do they do for me? Right? Last week, episode 176, correct, Nolan? Episode 176, we ended on item 178. We ended on item 56, which was help the buyer narrow their search until the buyer identifies their top choices. Now we're moving on to 57, negotiating offers. So this week I have my fancy glasses on. Aren't they fun? Negotiating offers. Number 57. We will assist the buyer in getting the best property at the best price. That comes down to the type of agent you hire. What does your agent have the ability to do? Can they negotiate down? Can they negotiate up? Can they negotiate sideways? Can they negotiate underwater? Bloop, bloop, bloop. Yep, I just did that, right? I mean, it's just the truth. What type of negotiator are there? Item 58 suggests that the buyer learn more about the neighborhood prior to making an offer. You need to know the neighborhood. I always tell my buyers, go check out the local market. That will tell you the clientele that's in the immediate neighborhood. Number 59, prepare a comparative market analysis, CMA, in advance of making an offer. And moving on to 60, oh, wait a minute. You're like, what's a CMA? It is the numbers of the market, what the value, the suggested value of the property might be. Item number 60, prepare the buyer to have the most attractive offer in the current marketplace. Let me tell you, we can rock and roll and get our offers accepted. When we have multiple offers on properties and we're competing, we know how to get them accepted. And there are so many reasons why we know how to do that. One, we partner with an amazing lender who knows how to get the work done, knows how to follow up with the listing agent, so that way your offer stands out. The agent's questions about your financing are removed because your lender jumped on the phone and your agent was on the phone with the agent and updated the agent, talked with the agent. More talking that happens like this podcast, the more winning we get, right? So we prepare the buyer, item 60, prepare the buyer to have the most attractive offer in the current marketplace. When you call us to work with us, ask me about special numbers, special numbers, lucky numbers, baby. Item number 61, explain common contract contingencies and include protective clauses in the purchase offer. Common contract contingencies. Yes, your offer is contingent on numerous things that have common timelines. And you want to talk with your great agent to understand what those are. Item number 62, ensure that the buyer receives and understands all state and federally required disclosure forms. All state and federally required disclosure forms. Sellers here in California, there's only a couple of things they're mandated to do by the state, which is install the smoke detectors in each bedroom, install carbon monoxide on the property, and if you have 2 levels in a home, a second or third, depending on how many levels, carbon monoxide on each level, right? And the water heater strapped with 2 straps. Number 60, and that's subject to change, okay? Subject to change. And beware that there are also city mandates on top of things. Same person I talked with last night, that person said, well, my house is in this city and I have a tenant in the property. And I said, whew, talk to that city because they got a lot of tenant mandates and you're selling a rental property with tenants in it. All right. Item 63, prioritize contract negotiation goals with the buyer. I always tell your buyers, if you give them 3 options, if you give Mr. Seller 3 options, he's going to pick the lesser of the 3 evils, right? What does that mean? If one is less money, he's going to pick that one, and your other 2 are going to get tossed. So focus on the big money so you get the results that matter. 64, help create a negotiating strategy. There are so many ways to negotiate through an offer, to negotiate through a purchase. You've got to have an agent who's creative and knows how to do that. Use strategies. 65. Use strategies such as escalation clauses to maintain a competitive offer. I love escalation clauses. And some agents, they just don't want to see them in their offers. They just don't want to. And some agents, when you give it to them, they don't understand it. So make sure your agent understands what an escalation clause is. Know that that just improves your offer. Strengthen and improves your offer. 66, prepare the buyer for a multiple offer situation and develop negotiation strategies. I get so many buyers who say, I don't want to compete against multiple offers. That doesn't even make sense to me. Okay, look, I get you don't want to compete. So write your best offer. Then you're not competing. You just know you wrote your best offer. And if it isn't accepted, you're out. Everyone else is still going at it, but you're out. And that's great. I just submitted an offer the other night and they were like, well, do you think, Lori, that we should increase the price? I mean, the agent countered us back at best and final. And I told him, you're already over list price. You wrote a rock star offer. Do not increase it. And guess what? We got acceptance. So we didn't have to spend extra money. We just needed to put our best and final back in. You must know how to negotiate. 67, write an offer that has a reasonable chance of being accepted. How do you know that? You know that by reviewing the comparables, by looking at the list price, by knowing what the other agent on the other side of the table is looking for in a great offer. It's by talking with your buyer's agent and then listening to what they suggest after they've talked with the listing agent you'll likely win. I had one buyer one time, she called me and she said, "This is what I want you to write." I said, "Well, there's a few things that I would suggest you do and understand." And she said, "No, just do this." Her offer didn't get accepted, and I canceled her contract. I was not interested in being anyone's paper pusher. I'm your collaborative partner here to help you succeed at winning real estate. 68. Recommend optional contingencies and explain the pros and cons of using them. You can use contingencies to help you win in a contract. You definitely can. And it doesn't mean you have to eliminate them, it just means you need to be creative. Number 69, provide information on purchasing incentives that may be available. Different cities, different banks, different government agencies offer incentives to help you purchase a property. You want your agent and your lender to know that stuff and help you qualify for that stuff. Item 70, discuss financing alternatives. We can help you come up with all different types of areas of concern or questions with regards to financing. No, we're not the lender. At least I'm not the lender. And I partner with great lenders that can accomplish what you're looking to make happen. So just tell them, tell your agent, look, this is what I'm working with. Is it possible? We'll tell you. 71, negotiate the buyer's offer to arrive at the best price and terms. Sometimes you'll be over list price, sometimes you'll be under list price, sometimes you'll write it under list price and get it over appraised value. Man, there's so many ways to win in real estate. You just got to get out there and take the chance. And then item 72, utilize hyperlocal expertise and strong communication skills to assist the buyer in being the successful offer. It's all about communication. It's all about talking, right? And you may need to talk via text, via telephone, via email. You just may have to talk the way the other agent prefers to talk. The market's moving really fast, it may be text messages. If the market's moving slower, it'll give you time for nice, long, in depth conversations. You decide what type of buyer you are and then buy in that real estate market. Don't try to buy in a real estate market that doesn't fit who you are as a person and your character. It just doesn't work. Item 73, advocating for the buyer and facilitating the closing. 73 is advocate for the buyer throughout the entire process. That is our job. We are your cheerleader, your advocate at what let's say avocation. I don't know. Anyways, we're there to make sure you win. That's what we're there for. 74, encourage the buyer to fully investigate their options in terms of a home inspector, title company, appraiser, mortgage lender, and other services. Okay, I just recently had a closing, and unfortunately, the buyer is very unhappy with the condition of property. We encourage them to have multiple inspections. We encourage them to do so. They decided not to. And now, after the fact, they're unhappy with their property and they're having to spend a lot of unnecessary money after the fact because of the things that happened. I can't force you to do your inspections. All I can do is say, I recommend it. I suggest it. Are you sure you don't want to? The home inspector, every sentence he writes in the home inspection says, talk with the professional. I'm not the professional. I'm just a home inspector. So if the home inspector and the agent say, talk with a plumber, you should really talk with a plumber. And if you're urgently moving to a close, you're taking that chance. That's unfortunate. and you chose to take the chance. It just is going to happen. It's part of home ownership. It's part of real estate. You just never know what you're going to find in that plumbing. Just never know. I always encourage you, plumbing inspections, couple $100, worth it. A plumb job over is so much more money. Look at, we are so busy, our phone is ringing off the hook. Number 75. Present a list of the types of required and optional inspections, such as environmental, roofing, and mold. We have a document that you can look at. It's not a required document, but you can check it out. It's a great document. It has every inspection option you have on that document that could potentially be thought of. Do all the inspections. They're worth the money. Review and discuss the home inspection concerns. So important. Go over your home inspection. I've partnered with a great home inspector that I've used over and over and over again. And all the companies out there, primarily all the companies out there, are fantastic and very thorough. And their reports are like 40 to 50 pages long. You need to read every page of it. 77. Negotiate repair requests from the home inspection. You submit your home request for repair. The seller reviews it. The seller has the option to consider it. They're not required to do the work. They're just required to review it. They can say, no, thank you, or they can negotiate. Number 78, guide the buyer on meeting all the contract deadlines. You have those contingencies, which are deadlines within the contract. We need to make sure we meet those or extend those and then meet them. 79, assist in coordinating communications. We are the person that connects them with the lender, to the escrow officer, to the buyer, to the seller. Oh my gosh, we have extensions coming all over the place when we work a real estate transaction. The insurance rep, the home warranty rep, they're just all over the place. Talking. Advise the buyer, number 80. Advise the buyer to review your settlement statement. That's where your money is. Check it out. Make sure it is correct. Make sure it is correct. It can be incorrect, right? Things can get missed. Things can happen. We're human. That's why it's so important that everyone reviews it and looks it over. And don't say, oh, I don't know, I didn't read it, I just docu-signed it. Well, that's your own fault, gosh darn it. You need to look at it and read it. Take the time. Oh, it's on my phone. Well, then take the time to go sit at a computer and review it. It's your money. It matters. Oh, people. Number 80. 81. Inform clients they need to transfer utilities to the new residence. For sure. Sellers cancel, buyers transfer. Otherwise, you're going to be without water and your power and your electricity and your gas is so important. Schedule a final walkthrough. Make sure you schedule that final walkthrough. That is just to verify that the property is in the same condition as you found it or better when you bought it. Accompany the buyer on the walkthrough. And then 83 was accompany the buyer on the walkthrough. 84, assist the buyer in questioning the appraisal report if it affects the financing. How does that happen? Your appraisal comes in less than your purchase price. That will impact your financing. Your appraisal comes in more than your purchase price. That will impact your financing. They're all big wins. Big wins. Confirm clear to close with the lender. The lender is ready to fund your loan. That is so exciting. 86. Ensure all parties have all forms and information needed to close the sale. 87. Remind the buyer of the location where the closing will be held. How do closings work here in California? I just call you and say, congrats, we're closed. That's literally what happens because escrow notifies me formally that it's been recorded in your name. But that's how it happens. Here in California, you can be anywhere and close. 88, confirm the closing date and time and notify parties if there are changes. This is important for you to understand. Number 88 is an estimated timeline. We do our best to make sure we hit the timeline, and there are so many moving parts that there is always the potential for that timeline to change. You have to be prepared for it. You have to. Number 89, gather all required forms and documents for closing. Number 90, explain the flood insurance to the buyer. Have them talk with their insurance agent. 91, explain title insurance to the buyer and refer to the qualified insurance broker. Our title reps are the best. They will sit down and take the time to chat with you. If you need a survey, they're extra money. 92, order it. You'll pay for it, and they're worth it. Number 93, yep, you got to order and pay for the appraisal. 94, you order the title search. 95, you confirm the status of the loan funding. 94, going back to 94, order the title search. I remember we were doing a transaction and the owner, I was representing the buyers, the owner was pushing for a quick close. He was pushing hard. I want you to close this quickly. And we're like, no problem. I got a lender who can perform and make it happen. And at the same time, we were all wondering why. 4 days later, guess what happens? My now homeowners were moved in, and on the door came knocking a divorce attorney who said, hey, you owe us money. And they said, not us. He's already moved. That was why. He knew that was coming. The title company went after him. Let's see, what else do we got? It'll happen, guys. You got to watch that stuff. All right, 95. Confirm the status of the loan funding. 96. Check all addendums and alterations for agreed terms. 97. Review the buyer's closing statement to ensure accuracy. 98. Explain wire fraud risks and remind clients to verify all wiring instructions before transferring funds. My sister-in-law's in the business too, and she mentioned right before she was closing a big transaction, she got a notification from her lender in the transaction she was doing that the wiring instructions had changed. She's a smart cookie. She thought, oh, I don't know about this. Called the lender and checked. It was fraud. Wire fraud is real. You need to be careful. Take the time to call the escrow company and verify your wire instructions. 99, double check all tax, homeowner association dues, utility, and applicable prorations if relevant. Oh my gosh, it happened one time. There's 2 HOAs on a property, and unfortunately, the sellers missed it on the closing statement. I, the agent, missed it on the closing statement. The escrow team missed it on the closing statement. The buyer's agent missed it on the closing statement. The buyer missed it on the closing statement. Everyone knew there was two HOAs, and the second HOA didn't get paid. Yes, of course, it got taken care of after the fact. Here over at Real Estate Resolved, we take care of mistakes, and it got taken care of. And I'm going to be real, we're not perfect. And that seller was happy to have it taken care of. That buyer was happy to have it taken care of. Check your closing statements. You do not want to miss that stuff. 100. Request final closing figures from the closing, the funding. We call them the funder here, and the escrow officer. And 101. Carefully review closing figures to ensure accuracy. Remember how I said just 2 points ago how the second HOA didn't get paid? That would have been like, uh-oh, wait a minute. Isn't there money missing? Wait a minute. Yes, there is. Number 103, advise the buyer to rekey their locks and to consider a one-time cleaning service or landscaping before moving day. Here in California, unless you request for it to be professionally cleaned, the house only needs to be broom swept cleaned. And the home warranty company that we work with does one free rekey. 104, review documents with your closing agent. And 105, support the buyer in any final closing activities. Like, woohoo, cheer you on, take that picture, rock that bottle of champagne. You just bought your first home, and it is worth it. It is so worth it. So, if you're wondering why you did it, go to episode 153, some starry estates, celebrities that made their fortunes in real estate. Because yes, you can do the same thing too.